I'd like to call the September 4th Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Our first order of business is invocation by our County Manager, Mr. David Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the Commissioners in their deliberation and grant them knowledge and guidance as they look upon the responsibilities that are before them. Be with those who have been devastated by Hurricane Dorian. Guard their hearts, minds, give them peace that surpasses all understanding. Bless the work of relief agencies and those providing emergency assistance. May their work be guided by the grace and strength that comes from you alone. Father, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces who serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. We will continue to thank you and praise you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here today, hear us in a moment of silence. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Our pledge by Ms. Sharon Russell, our Deputy County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to recognize Sheriff Miller tonight, one of our elected officials for Onslow County. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here tonight. We ask all in attendance to please set your cell phone to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public 2 opportunities to speak during the meeting. Comments during the first public comment period should be limited to those items to 3 minutes on items that's directly oriented to the agenda items for this particular meeting. Second public comment period is at the end of the meeting and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by stating their name and their address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or candidacy shall not be allowed. In accordance with the board's adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda, and that will be at the end of the meeting. With no other items to be considered, I would entertain a motion to adopt the meeting agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Does any commissioner have any item on the consent agenda that they would like to have removed for later discussion at the end of the meeting? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3 is our first public comment section pertaining to itims on the agenda. Mr. Cotton, we have anyone signed up?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Mr. Michael Kroster or Krostick?
Yeah, cross-check.
Okay, which agenda item is this?
I got some questions about the flooding in my neighborhood and sewer system.
Okay, I'd direct you to sign up for the 5-minute. Ben, can you help him? Thank you. All right, so no one has signed up for the first public comment period, Mr. Chairman.
That's not on the agenda, but you can speak at the end of the meeting. Okay, item 4 is proclamations. Mr. Cotton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, the first proclamation this evening, the recipient unfortunately could not be here as they are preparing for Hurricane Dorian, but I would like to read it into the record. It is the National Sickle Cell Awareness Month 2019. It reads, State of North Carolina, County of Onslow, Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Whereas sickle cell disease is an inherited blood disorder that causes pain, infection, disability, economic distress, and even death among many ethnic groups. And whereas while the disease disproportionately affects African Americans, other racial and ethnic groups can also be affected. And whereas sickle cell disease is a debilitating condition that affects more than 100,000 Americans of all ages by slowing and blocking blood flow, causing pain and progressive organ damage, and reducing life expectancy. And whereas services, including screening of all newborns at birth, general screening by request for the general public at local health departments, as well as education for those affected, health professionals, and the general public, genetic counseling, service coordination, medical reimbursement, and social support for affected persons. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Onslow County Board of Commissioners does hereby acknowledge September 2019 as Sickle Cell Awareness Month in Onslow County and urges citizens to support this observance by becoming more informed and involved in the education, treatment, and care of people victimized by sickle cell disease, presented this 4th day of September 2019. The second award under presentations is the 2019 Digital Counties Survey Award. The Center for Digital Government and National Association of Counties announced the winners of the 17th anniversary Digital County Survey. The survey, conducted by CDG in partnership with NACO, identifies the best technology practices among U.S. counties, including initiatives that streamline delivery of government services, encourage open data, collaboration, and shared services, enhanced cybersecurity, and contribute to disaster response and recovery efforts. This is the 3rd consecutive year that Onslow County has been recognized. So in the 150,000 to 249,999 population category, Onslow County placed 3rd, noting innovation in bringing a crisis center to the county, the response to the storm, and the citizen incident self-reporting application that was deployed to help citizens self-report damage. The Information Technology Services Director, Mr. Glenn Hasted, and staff will accept the award. The chairman will present it.
Glenn, this is quite an honor to bestow upon the IT department. I want to thank all of you. 3rd in the U.S. of the whole country getting this award. And our IT department is so valuable to not only the county but to other organizations too. We help other communities too. And these folks, I can tell you, they don't sleep at night because there's always a threat of somebody hacking into our system or causing ransomware. And then these folks have to come in. It's like having a home and having the windows unlocked, and you never know when somebody's going to come in. So thank you to all of you folks. Congratulations, Glenn.
Thank you.
And I'm going to give you this and let each and every one of you speak if you want to.
Thank you. Yeah. So this award is primarily given as an IT award, although it really encompasses the innovation that's happening in the county as a whole. The crisis center, the response to Florence, all of these things, the stuff that's happening at the library, all these things are things that are really helping raise the innovation level across this fine county of ours, and that's why we're 3rd in the nation. So it's not just an IT thing, it's really an Onslow County thing. Thank you.
I think item 5 now, public hearing.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is rezoning case PREZ 2019, TAC 00010. At this time, I will call on Ms. Jessica Rue, our planning director, to offer the staff introduction.
Hi, good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. I have two very straightforward requests this evening. The first is a rezoning to go from R10 to R20. The property owner is the Donald C. Thompson Estate. Davy Thompson and Gary Thompson are the applicants. This involves 18 parcels totaling 60.42 acres, and this is in stumps now. Water to the property is available through Onwassa. Wastewater is available through Plurus. Turkey Creek provides the fire service. And we do see overcapacity numbers on Highway 172. However, this request is for a decrease in density. You can see the current zoning is R10 of all of the parcels. There is some R20 in the vicinity. This property is largely undeveloped on Highway 172. There is a cell tower on the other side of the street. To give you some comparison, R10 allows 4 units per acre. It's a residential district. What's been requested is R20, which allows 2 units per acre, so that's half the density. Our future land use designations have this property in 4 different districts. However, because this is a request to decrease in density, the planning board did find that this was reasonable and in the public interest. And on August 1st, they voted unanimously to recommend this rezoning, and there were no public comments at the meeting. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Rue. At this time, I will open the public hearing and call on the applicant or applicant's representative to make a statement if they would like. Okay. As I stated, no one has signed up for the public hearing. I will make one call to the audience. If anyone would like to speak on rezoning case PREZ 2019-00010, please approach the podium. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will now close the public hearing. The item is available for commissioner consideration and action.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Rue, the planning board voted, I think I seen it, voted unanimously to
Yes, sir.
approve this. And staff has.
And staff
have-
is recommending this favorably
Favorable.
as well.
Any further questions for staff? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. I think section B, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item before the commissioners is zoning text amendment case ZTA TAC 2019 TAC 00006. I will ask Ms. Rue to provide a staff introduction.
Okay, we have a request to amend the zoning ordinance, and this request is very simple. It is to establish Wildlife Sanctuary and Rehabilitation Center as a permitted use. This request is coming from Possedwood Acres Wildlife Sanctuary. This was an establishment that was created before the establishment of countywide zoning. As some background, they are looking to expand. They would like their use to be legal conforming in order to move forward with that. What this text amendment does is it adds the definition of a wildlife sanctuary and rehab center, which is on the screen. It amends our table of uses to allow this use with special requirements in the highway business zoning district and in the RA zoning district. They're not recommending any unusual special requirements, our standard ones. They would need to meet the North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission standards. Those are not county standards, but state standards, setbacks, acreage, and then signage. The planning board unanimously recommended this text amendment on August 1st, and the only comments received on it was from the applicant. That concludes my presentation on the text amendment request.
At this time, I will open the public hearing and call on the applicant or applicant representative to make an applicant statement. Okay. No one has signed up to speak on zoning text amendment case ZTA 20196. I'll make one call to the audience. If anyone would like to speak on this case, please approach the podium. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will now close the public hearing. The item is available for commissioner consideration and action.
Motion to approve.
Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6 is final offer on real property.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. This evening, we have 3 final offers on surplus property, and the first parcel is 025620. It's at 2 Knox Drive. It's 0.17 of an acre in size. The initial offer and the final offer were both $1,550.52. The second parcel is 025619, located at 4 Knox Drive. It's also 0.17 of an acre. And the initial and both the final offer are $1,546.23. And the third parcel, 010081, which is located at 203 Stag Court, it's 0.33 of an acre. And the initial offer was $3,309.05. And the final offer after the upset bid process is $3,750.67. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Motion to approve all 3.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Section B, application for state aid to public libraries.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Chairman Bright, Commissioners, Mr. Cotton. This evening, I'm presenting the application for state aid to public library funds. Since 1941, the North Carolina General Assembly has appropriated money for public library service in North Carolina. State aid legislation stipulates that the appropriation in its Aid to Public Libraries Fund is intended to promote, aid, and equalize public library service in North Carolina. This appropriation is often simply referred to as state aid. When allocating state aid to public libraries, both the library's service area, population, and per capita income have an impact in determining the amount of state aid allocated to each library. Maintenance of effort by a library's local funders is also reviewed. Local funders, such as Onslow County, must be maintaining or expanding their support of the cost of local library service. Onslow County maintenance of effort does exceed that of the previous fiscal year. Within Onslow County, state aid to public libraries assists in purchasing material for the library system, which includes books, print audiobooks, and digital, DVDs, music CDs, and periodicals. Estimated state aid for Onslow County for fiscal year 19 through 20 is $217,829. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider accepting the state aid to public libraries application as presented, and if approved, authorize the chair and county manager to sign the documents on behalf of the county. And I can answer any questions.
Motion?
To approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. March.
Thank you.
C, North Carolina Forest Fire Protection Contract. Our Finance Director, Mr. David McCole.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners. The contract you have before you calls for the county to pay 40% of the total cost of the forester or forest ranger salaries and expenses, and of other proper expenditures made in connection with the overall forestry program in the county. The total cooperative appropriation is $374,999. The county is responsible for 40%, which totals $150,000. The Board of Commissioners have allocated $150,000 to the North Carolina Forest Service in the financial year 1920 budget. With that said, I respectfully ask that you consider approval of the contract with the North Carolina Forest Service and authorize the chairman to sign the contract on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Second motion and a second by Mr. Price. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. D, Vocational Rehabilitation Service Cooperative Agreement.
The cooperative agreement calls for the county to contribute an annual cash amount of 21.3% of the agreed-upon annual budget for the vocational rehabilitation services. The Board of Commissioners have allocated $19,000 to the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services in the financial year 1920 budget. With that said, I respectfully ask that you consider approval of the cooperative agreement with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services and authorize the chairman to sign the agreement on behalf of the county. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have on this matter.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McCall. North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program Driving While Impaired Task Force Grant, Year 2. Sheriff Miller.
Good evening, Commissioners. It is my pleasure to appear in front of the board tonight to ask for the second-year funding approval of a very successful Governor's Highway Safety Program DWI Task Force. DWI, for the public, means Driving While Impaired. This program has been very successful. It's been in operation since October of last year. We have been very successful in making our roads safer. The Onslow County Sheriff's Office received funding in 2018 for a DWI task force. The task force has been in operation since October 2018, and funding was provided for the first year of 100% reimbursement. The Sheriff's Office received approval for the second-year funding for the task force and is contingent upon the Board of Commissioners approving the second-year funding. We have a lot of statistics we would be glad to share with the board, but what we have done is made our roads safer. And we would like to continue that. And with the board's approval of the second-year funding, we will do that for the people. I have more information available. Sergeant Marshburn, who is the actual supervisor of the DWI task force, can share with you some of the successes that we've had since this task force was started. So, give some numbers out.
Just quickly, just to recap what the task force has done in the first year. Since October 7th of 2019, we conducted 3,039 traffic stops, and we've totaled 240 DWI charges since that date. That's with 4 individuals. So about every 12th traffic stop that the task force has made has resulted in a DWI charge. We've had over 3,912 total traffic and criminal charges since October 7th, including multiple speeding, seatbelt, driving while license revoked, and we've even inadvertently arrested 30 wanted individuals who were not related, to just happened to be stopped by one of our officers and had a warrant. So we had 30 of those. They've worked a total of 4,700 hours of enforcement since that date. In addition, we established the Sheriff's Office's first in-car camera program. All of our task force vehicles have an in-car camera. It's the first time in the history of the Sheriff's Office that's occurred. And in addition, we took a responsibility of the Onslow County Regional Traffic Safety Task Force and have been in cooperation with all of the local municipalities, Alcohol Law Enforcement, License and Theft Division of North Carolina, and the Highway Patrol, and doing a regional task force for traffic safety across the county as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think it needs to be said that Sergeant Marshburn was the recipient of the Officer of the Year Award up in Raleigh, and I congratulate you for that. With respect, I ask that the board approve the second-year funding for this task force.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Have we seen a reduction in the number of alcohol-related accidents from the previous year? Have you got that data?
We won't receive the last year's data until, it's normally about 1 year behind, so we'll receive that data. We did find that there was some reductions in our overall crashes, but again, that's still preliminary data because DOT is about a year behind on getting us the information.
What about the number of number of deaths as a result of DWI? Do you have that?
Again, we're a year behind. So what the task force has done since its inception, because the DOT, the crash data operates on a regular calendar year, the task force operates on a federal fiscal year. So we started, toward the end of last year's data. So last year's data wouldn't really be an accurate picture since we were only in 1 quarter of last year. So we'll know unfortunately, we won't know until next year what the first year's effects did in the second year, if that makes sense.
Any further?
Was the task force involved in the roadblock on 210 Saturday night?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many arrests were made?
We had 3 DWI charges out of that, including 1 underage, and we had a total of 75 charges in between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. during that checkpoint.
I went through it twice, and I think I saw all of them. They're trying to turn around on you.
And Commissioner, we don't use the word roadblock, we use checking stations. We had the Batmobile out there, Bat meaning blood alcohol testing mobile. They came down from Raleigh, and the comments were heard from the public, and they were positive.
Didn't you tell me you had a warrant for Commissioner Bennett? Something? No, sir. I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
I think, Sergeant Marshman, it's probably a number that maybe you can't touch or share, is that the number of charges made or arrests made out of those stops, we can't put a number on how much crime was reduced because it never had the opportunity to take place. So I don't know if collateral is the right terminology, but the operation itself has a lot of collateral impact in areas that we can't really put a pinpoint on to determine the success of those areas.
I tell you, I think you guys did a fantastic job on the task force. You really did. Being an old narc myself, that's the best place that you find dope. You find felons. I heard you say you had 30 wanted felons. Okay, otherwise you would not have arrested those individuals. Right. I'm sure they had bench warrants and other stuff. But I remember being on those task force, from a narcotic standpoint, and getting someone who's dealing dope that comes through the checkpoint or who tries to run, and things like that. So I applaud your efforts. I think that's great.
Well, thank you, Commissioners. And I think we keep our county clean. That is our mission. And that's just one of many ways to do it. And also what we do is we call in other agencies. We had police agencies, we had other sheriff's offices involved in that because it's about teamwork.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I think that item F is the detention center medical plan.
Yes, sir. Board of Commissioners, this is an annual thing, an annual mission that we have to do. The detention center and medical plan, obviously, when inmates are in our jail, in our detention center, they have to be watched, they have to be given the proper service, and the plan lets us do that. But the North Carolina state statute requires that every year the health director of public health has to review the plan and then make any changes that may be necessary. In this particular case, minor changes were made. The acting interim health director approved it. I looked at it line by line, read it line by line, approved it. It is proper, and but it requires the Board of Commissioners to also approve it, the governing body of Onslow County. So I have a copy of the plan with me. It has been reviewed by the health director, by myself, the sheriff, and I'm here for any questions that you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And Sheriff, are you actually able to collect any of the co-pays that you charge?
The answer is yes, we do. Obviously, when somebody's indigent, we still have to provide the service, but there is a copay for those who have the capability.
Any further? Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Cotton, item 7, consent agenda, we didn't have anything. Item 8 is public comment. I think we can get a chance to let the gentleman speak that was up earlier.
Yes, sir. This is the second public comment period. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. Comments may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Mr. Michael Crostek of 78 Vandergrift Drive, Jacksonville. And he would like to speak about the flooding and sewer system. So, Mr. Crostek, if you could approach the podium, please.
Gentlemen, I live on 78 Vandergrift Drive. I've been there since 1981, about 38 years. And over the years, we had flooding, pretty bad. And over the years, we had people come out from the county and look at the situation. Maybe they could help us out. Vandergrift Drive, once it rains, the drains clog, and I call it Lake Vandergrift because the water backs up to about 4 feet in its lowest point because the drains just cannot handle all the water coming down from down Vandergrift Drive. And over the years, we pulled people out of the cars that were actually submerged at Lake Vandergrift. So my concern is, are there going to be any actions taken as far as people coming in and looking at us, maybe help us out with the draining problem? Because I know one of the pickup points at my house that goes across the street to the culvert, it's starting to collapse. You could see the divots in the ground. And so far what I saw as far as repairing it, they come in and they blow this tar stuff into the holes and they drive away, and that's about their version of repairing the road. Now the culvert that the drain goes into, when I bought my house in 1981, I can stand in the bottom of the ditch or the culvert, and I cannot see over the berm of the culvert. Now it's totally gone. There's no more culvert for the water to run into or drain out. So it drains into the street, and it backs up. And it backs up into my house, and it floods under my house. I already had to change out all my AC units because I had under the house AC units, had to take it all out and put it above up in my attic. Because I had water lines in my trunk lines. So I knew there was a concern that my system got flooded. And right now I've got sump pumps working under my house trying to get the water out. Because every time Vandergrift floods, the water just doesn't go anywhere except backwards up the street and floods my house and my neighbor's house. And I've got a couple other neighbors there that also got the same problem. So this was going on for a lot of years, since 1981. And we got a lot of lip service over the years. They said they're going to do stuff. They're going to try to help us, come up with some solutions. And so far, in 38 years, nothing has happened. So I'm kind of wondering if there's anything in the future as far as helping us out. Maybe at least fix the drain problem. Maybe come in with backhoes and clear out the ditches that runs from my house and behind the other houses, towards Old Maplehurst Drive, which is, right by Southwest High School. So we need some help out there, gentlemen. We need some help. We need some relief. Because, that day we pulled out the elderly lady out of the car, her car was totally submerged. We had to go, almost chest deep in the water to get her out. But, so you guys don't hear that, because it's just the community gets together and we help them out and then we push the cars out. And over the years, a lot of cars got destroyed, but people try to drive in through because they don't realize how deep that water gets. Once the water drains, you could see the water lines on the people's yards where all the leaves and all the stuff and all the debris was, and it's fairly significant. So I'm just want to bring up my situation, my awareness to you guys that we have a very bad problem over there. I'm pretty sure the county's got other problems, draining problems and all that stuff, but I think Plum Point it's quite unique. We are probably the bastard childs of how not to develop a housing development, because everything just goes around us. We have poor drainage systems, the septic systems
don't perk, but they built the houses back in the day, so we got to live with it. So I'm hoping maybe in the future, you know, I mean, I waited for 36 years to get a sewer system in there, and it still never happened. A lot of the stuff goes around us, but we still, Plum Point is its own little world there, and we're condemned for some reason. So I just need to know if there can be any kind of movement or action, try to help us out. As far as the drainage, just help us out with the drainage. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, no one else has signed up.
I noticed one thing, Ben's been taking notes.
Yes.
I was watching Ben write. Ben can get up with you, sir, and see what can be done. He's one of our assistant county managers. He's over there in that tan-looking jacket there. He'll get up with you. He's been taking notes, Dad, as you were talking. Thanks, Jack.
No one else? Okay, we'll move on now to manager's comment. Mr. Cotton.
Okay. All right. Well, while we are waiting for that to come up, I will say that thank you all for responding. The joint workshop between the county and the city of Jacksonville that was requested, it looks like the 30th of September was the day that worked for a majority of the board. So if it pleases the board, I'll respond to Dr. Woodruff, and we'll start nailing down the details for that. Specifically, I do want to give the commissioners and the community a quick brief on where we stand in terms of Hurricane Dorian and Hurricane Dorian preparation. As of today, we're still looking at a Category 2 hurricane with sustained winds of 105 miles an hour. It is still a tight eye wall. The forward motion has picked up to 9 miles an hour, and it is moving northwest instead of northeast like we would want it to. The hurricane track, I wanted to put this on display as well. As of right now, it is between Florida and Georgia, hugging the coastline, and the blue line, or I'm sorry, the blue circle are tropical force winds, and then the red circle is hurricane force winds, and that'll become important in the next slide here. So as of 5 a.m. on Friday, September 6th, the projected forecast is that the entire Onslow, the entire area of Onslow County will be contained within hurricane force winds, and the duration of that is upwards of 9 hours at this time based on the current forecast. So some of the timelines. In the evening, starting this evening, we should expect rain bands to start entering Onslow County. Tomorrow, around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, we should start to experience tropical storm force winds. Friday at approximately 1 a.m., we should start to feel the effects of the hurricane force winds as they enter Onslow County. And that will be all-encompassing of Onslow County at the 5 a.m. mark. So 1 a.m., it's going to be, of course, the Barrier Island, Surf City, North Topsail Beach, Sneed's Ferry, and it's going to progress until at 5 a.m., all of Onslow County will be experiencing hurricane force winds. So at approximately 9 a.m., we should expect those hurricane force winds to leave the county. So that's 8-9 hours, depending on the forward motion of the storm, that we will be experiencing that. Based on the current track and speed at 3 p.m. on Friday, we should expect the last of the tropical storm force winds to leave. So that's a 24-hour window, but within that 24 hours, we have 8 to 9 hours of hurricane force winds, upward, very strong Category 1, weak Category 2. So in the late evening on Friday, we anticipate that the rains will completely stop in Onslow County as it moves on towards Virginia and northward. Some of the expected effects that we should expect, I know I'm repeating myself a little bit here, but I did want to put it in a couple of different formats. Winds, we're going to have tropical storm force winds as well as hurricane force winds. We should expect storm surge on the order of 4 to 6 feet above ground level. And based on the timing of the tropical storm force winds arriving and the hurricane force winds arriving, could not be worse timing. It is either right on high tide or just an hour after high tide. So it's going to be a compounding frustration. The rainfall is expected to be 5 to 10 inches. Some isolated areas may receive as much as 15 inches. And again, the duration, the winds, 24 hours for tropical storm force winds, 8 to 9 for hurricane force winds, and a total of 48 hours for rain, start to finish. We're going to start seeing the rain bands in tonight, and it'll be late into Friday evening before we see the rain move on. So what's the county been doing? What does it look like from here? We have had a partial activation of our Emergency Operations Center. As of today, we stood up our Citizens Phone Bank, and it will be active until it's deemed no longer necessary. And that number is 910-989-5027. I have ordered a full activation as of 5 a.m. tomorrow for Shift A. Shift B will come in at 6 a.m. Shift B will come to the EOC for the first briefing at 7 a.m., and then they will go back to Northside, which is only for county employees who are off shift to be able to break away, have that physical separation between the EOC and where they can get some rest and actually unplug a little bit. Shelter operations, we will begin opening shelters to the public at 7 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, September 5th. The Commons Middle School is our only special needs and pet-friendly shelter. Swansboro High School and Richlands High School in Dixon are the other 3 shelters. The Dixon Middle School is actually opened as of 8 p.m. this evening. And the reason that we chose to do that, it's obviously the right thing to do. The Governor Cooper, his executive order 104, dictated that the barrier islands were under a mandatory evacuation. And that was almost 24 hours before we had planned to open all 4 shelters, and approximately 10 hours based on North Topsail and Surf City's curfew. So where were those Onslow County residents going to go overnight? So made the decision, and we opened up Dixon Middle School for the barrier island Onslow County residents who would be displaced under that mandatory order. Core services, they will be suspended as of tomorrow, September 5th, through Saturday, September 6th. September 7th. The return of core services, of course, that's going to be as soon as possible, and that will be based on the safety of the employees and the safety of those we serve. We want to be able to get into each of our buildings, each of our offices, and make sure that they are still structurally sound before we start opening them to our colleagues and the community that we serve at large. Some of the post-storm measures that we have discussed and made those calls and put certain actions in play. FEMA, state agency, and other resources as necessary. They are on standby. They're ready to come back. Actually, FEMA hasn't left from Florence. Our debris hauling and management contractors have been put on notice. So as soon as it's safe for them to come in, they'll come in and start hauling debris again. Mosquito and vector control is always an issue immediately following a storm, and we have the supplies necessary and the vehicles to deliver those. So we'll start that in earnest as quickly as possible. As rain dissipating and then the winds being low enough to where we can actually spray and be effective with that. That is when we will start. We want to stand up landfill operations as soon as we can. Hopefully that will be one day over the weekend. I don't want to say which day because it's going to depend on a lot of factors. Can we even get to the landfill? The mass meal services, we are partnering with the Catalyst Church. They are going to take the lead for us, and they say that they have the capacity to serve 20,000 meals a day. At the height of Hurricane Florence, we fortunately did not experience numbers anywhere approaching that, but they do have the capacity. And again, they are going to be a partner in taking the lead for that. And that is all I have at this time. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Do you have any other manager comments other than that? Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll have questions and people calling in with different concerns, and we'll be able to call and try to get those ironed out. Well, at least we had a lot of experience last year when we had Hurricane Florence, that we had situations that we had to deal with, and we learned from those experiences. So now we'll move on to item 10, which is commissioner comments. I'll start with Commissioner Buchanan.
Thank you. I want to thank and congratulate our IT department for getting that award tonight, and thank all of you for being here this evening. And please be safe through this hurricane as much as possible. I know some of us live near the water, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what this storm does. But may God go with everybody that's here tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
Appreciate you coming out tonight to talk about Vandergrift. I have, there was no exaggeration on his part, so I appreciate Mr. Warren, everybody paying attention and listening to that, because that I've driven through that, and it's hazardous. Not far around the corner from you, so I've seen it when it has flooded, and the nature it does that. So thanks for coming out and doing that. Hopefully it's something that can be alleviated. Onslow County, take care of yourselves. We've been here before. You got a great community and a great support in all your emergency services. And God bless you, and prayers for all, and be safe as we see this coming around the corner again.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Knapp.
I just want to first say congratulations, Tommy. You deserve that. That was a great award that you got as LEO Officer of the Year. That's hard to get, but I think your task force has been successful. I know a couple of members on that task force, and they're all excited to do what they do, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I think it's a well-earned grant, and keep pushing, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and bust those people that are violating the law. I appreciate that. Second thing is, I can't say enough about this hurricane preparedness. I've been here since 1990, and I hate every one of them that have come through North Carolina. It scares the you-know-what out of me. But we've got to go through it, and part of that is our responsibility to be prepared and to be updated and to have the information available. But you're preparing to protect your family and your homes. I just want to say something that also goes to your pets, because we had a lot of abandoned pets last year, and you've got to untether your pets if you have them tethered, provide shelter. That doesn't mean a canopy outside or in a square box. That means bring them with you. If you leave, your pets leave. That's my opinion. You need to take care, because they're family. I have 3 dogs myself that are rescue, and we don't go anywhere without them if we're going to evacuate or anything like that. So please be aware of that. Please try to take care of them and take care of yourself the best way possible. You know, when you're home tonight or tomorrow, if you've got some time, the smallest things out there in a yard can be a projectile during a storm. Bring it in, throw it in your garage, tie it down, whatever it might be. Lawn furniture, bring it in. And like I said before, it's better to be prepared. But, you know, we're praying for the best. And I just want to wish all the Onslow County citizens, you know, the best during this time. You know, if you need us, we have radios as commissioners now. I think they gave them to us so that we can talk to each other and stay out of their hair while they're at the EOC. And so I thank you for my toy. But seriously, God bless all of you. Stay safe. If you need anything, holler at us. You know, we'll do the best that we can help you. Our staff is fantastic. They did a great job last year, and I don't expect them to do any less this year. So thank you all, and, you know, be safe for the rest of the week.
Commissioner Price?
I echo that. Congratulations to the IT department as well. Quite an honor to be recognized 3 years running. Also, we had, as a board, we had a chance to attend the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners convention for 4 days, and attended a number of workshops that related to issues that all counties in North Carolina are dealing with, such as opioid situation, and also school funding and various issues. And so it was very informative. Also got to hear from Doris Kearns Goodwin, excellent historian. She got a book out, as you can read, during the storm, Leadership in Turbulent Times, looking at leadership through the lens of 4 different presidents: Lincoln, FDR, TR, and LBJ. So I've started into it, and it's really good. So I recommend it. Also, I'd like to congratulate Holly Ridge and leadership, and Onslow Bay Boat Works that had their groundbreaking last week, as they are building a facility there to construct, I think they said 27-foot boat, 27-foot boats. And so that's something that's going to create about 50 jobs for Onslow County. So that's a great situation there. So congratulations to them. Also, congratulations to all those first responders who were honored at our Public Safety Awards, all those who were recognized, and also just in general to all our first responders. We appreciate what they do, especially at times like this, as we recognize how important they are. And once again, also hope you've taken all the necessary precautions, and I encourage you to hope that you stay safe throughout the storm. Thank you.
Commissioner Shanahan?
So over the next 2 days, obviously be vigilant, stay safe, keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep your pets safe. And then on Saturday, when things start to clear and it's safe to do so, go check on your neighbors and see how they fared and see if there's something you can help with. I think one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen is how this community pulled together last year after Florence. And you know, this we're hoping, and it looks like, won't be that event, but there's still going to be a lot of people in need and a lot of people who need help, and many hands make light work. So let's pull through this together, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with the comments of my colleagues, and I won't repeat them, but I would maybe repeat that I think Onslow County is absolutely as prepared as we can possibly be for this storm. Onslow County is going to be here for you, whatever your issue is in the aftermath, and hope that all of you will stay safe out there. And also, I would remind you that Tuesday, September the 10th, is Election Day. You lost, if you didn't vote early, then you missed Thursday and Friday, tomorrow and Friday, that early voting. So your only opportunity to vote in the 3rd District congressional race will be September the 10th on Tuesday. So be safe out there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Cotton, will you introduce our public information person?
Yes, sir. It'd be my pleasure. Miss Lisa Line has joined us. Most recently, she was a reporter with Spectrum, and she just started this week. So it has truly been, a welcome and drinking from the fire hose. But she's already demonstrated her capability, so I know she's going to do an excellent job for us in helping us get our message out during this crisis right now.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. Looking forward to working with you. We hate to bring you right into a disaster situation, but I guess that's a good way to learn. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you to the folks that come up and spoke. We'll try to find out what can be done with the drainage situation in your neighborhood, and anything that we can do, we'll do. But Mr. Warren is very good at finding out what resources are available. So it may be something that we can't do, but we may know somebody that can. So we'll do everything we can to help you, sir.
In Jacksonville.
I reiterate and stress that everybody needs to be safe during this storm event. Don't drive unless you absolutely have to, unless you're going to leave town early. Once the storm starts, I would advise to stay in. We may have power outages, and when we have power outages, the traffic signals goes out, and we have downed wires that you may be involved in. And for goodness sakes, don't drive through flooded streets or situations. Even though you may think the water is only 5 or 6 inches deep, there may be a pothole there that you'll fall completely in. So I would be careful in doing that. Watch out for low-hanging power lines. And the ones of you that have a generator, make sure that you've got the power not hooked into the grid, because if the power is off and you got your house generated and powered up, and you got the lineman out there working on the lines, you could be electrocuting those guys. So make sure you know what you're doing when you're running your generator, and for God's sake, have it outside where it's vented, because the carbon monoxide will absolutely kill you and you won't even know what happened to you. So be safe with that. And how would you say that?
Yeah, just a reminder, we wanted to pass on that Jacksonville City issued a curfew starting tomorrow at 2200 hours, which is 10 o'clock, until 0700 the next day. So just for all those people that are on the audience and all those people that are watching on G10, curfew within the city limits of Jacksonville begins tomorrow at 2200 hours and ends on Friday at 0700.
You need to check the local municipalities anyway. I think North Topsail Beach has a curfew. Swansboro has a
one. It
curfew.
starts
I
at
don't know
3 p.m.
exact
tomorrow
hours,
afternoon and runs till Saturday.
but I would check with the local jurisdictions on that. They may differ, and they may suspend them, or they may change the hours too. So I know that one of them changed the hours from what it was, because the storm kind of changed courses. But other than that, just be safe. Hope to see everybody back here at our next meeting, and I hope you survive the storm, and I hope we have minimal damage. I'm just hoping and praying we do. We don't have anything else. A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess we adjourn.